Well, Telecaster lovers and plank talkers, welcome back to the Twang Table, episode 17. I'm receiving the pleasure today and the honor to work with two really good musicians, international drummer, drum technician, man of the world, Mr. Don Mcaulay, on all kinds of rhythmicist instruments and playing some vintage drums today. We're here in Greenfield, Massachusetts, in Western Mass at Fun Room Studio with owner, bassist extraordinaire, Mr. Chris Ball. Yeah. So today's operational principle is basically to record the Twang Table theme. Originally, I wrote it for my two cats, Blackberry and Pearl, and it was called the Blackberry Pearl Stumble. But then as I got going on it, that is really the title of it, but now it's called the Twang Table theme. And my good friend Don Mcaulay, I said, man, do you know any bass players around that play doghouse bass, acoustic bass? And he says, yeah, I got a guy right here in town, and he's really good. And of course, I write or try to write these things that are kind of quirky and, extended measures and, all kinds of elements going on with it that are tricky. But this guy here has musician's ears and he can count and all of that wonderful stuff. So we got together at his lovely abode here at Fun Room Studios in Greenfield and laid down the fundamentals of the Twang Table theme. And I want to take a little time right now to talk to both of them. Don, you've been in some of the most incredible world-class studios working for the last, 15, 20 years of your career so far? 15 years, maybe?
Yeah, with other musicians.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you are kind of a guy that people come to you and, hey, how do you produce this kind of a snare drum sound? And what kind of microphones are you using? And what's the placement and all that stuff? I guess one of the questions that I'd be interested in, of all the situations you've been put through in rehearsals and preparing for big tours and recording in great studios with producers and engineers, what are a couple of the elements that you've learned about in terms of miking up a kick drum or using overheads or a snare? Can you talk a little bit about microphone placement, like some of your favorite tools that you like to work with?
Sure. Well, it's all about the room. It's all about the player. So it all changes individually with what's going to happen in the room, what's going to happen with the player, and what the songwriter's after. So in general, though, it's about catching the sound, the natural sound that's in the room. And then when you go back into the control room, it should sound just like it sounds, if as close as possible.
Nice.
To what you're hearing in the room. So if the engineer's doctoring it up and it has his own vision, then you're not really catching what you want to catch. So it's just about getting the right equipment and having it as clear as possible.
Yeah.
Placement is a different thing because you can try all sorts of different things for different styles of music, but it's about having the right gear in the right spot for the song. So yeah, it's a little hard to answer that, but it has to be at song-by-song basis.
Yeah, so I liked what you said. The musicians are out in the main studio room, and you go out there and you want to convey and make sure the sound that those musicians are happy with coming off their gear and their equipment, whether it be a drum set, a bass, a guitar, etc., is the same translation to the studio monitors. You don't want to be fudging stuff.
Exactly.
And EQing. And
you can always do that post, but you want to just catch the natural tone. I mean, that's where I come from.
Yeah.
And making a pop record is a little different, but I think.
Yeah. What would be if you said, I got to have these 5 microphones in my toolbox for the snare drums, overheads, maybe hi-hat cymbals. What would be your 5 glorious masterpiece microphone?
The RCA 44 ribbing right in front of the drums. up a little, about 3 feet away, you know, about 3 feet tall, maybe over by the rack tom. A D12 on the bass drum or an M88 on the bass drum. It's called a bass drum, actually. It's not a kick drum.
Okay, bass
Yeah, we're talking real rock.
Yeah, yeah. There you go.
So, you know, bass drum. U67s over top or Coles would be my pick. KM184 on the hi-hat. But that's just that style, you know. 441 on the snare underneath. Maybe a 57.
So do a lot of times, like say on the snare, for instance, what you're just pointing out, would you a majority of the time mic under or off to the side of the snare with one mic and on top with another microphone?
Yeah, underneath and on top, if you're going for that sound.
Yeah.
Some people don't want all that grizzle.
Yeah.
The snare, you know. So more recently we've been working on something which I was really impressed by, which is a microphone much further away in a tunnel going to the underneath of the snare. And I hadn't done that, but we're making pop records with YouTube. So
yeah,
that's how we went, and it works really well. So you don't have all that raw, snary sounds.
Yeah,
and it worked really well. The producer was very much into that, and we got it. We captured it.
Now with so many companies coming into the fray, cymbal companies, all kinds of different textures on snare drum heads or drum heads. Have you found something that really suits in terms of getting good tones and great response for drum heads? And like, what cymbals do you really like? There's so many choices.
There's so many choices. Way too many choices.
Yeah.
Too many choices. But, you know, there's nothing like an Emperor coated on a bass drum sound on your batter side. But also the Aquarian Deep Vintage 2 is a fantastic sounding bass drum head. Again, for a song-by-song basis.
Yeah.
So,
well, drummers, rhythmists out there in the music land at large, Mr. Don Mcaulay, he has explored all of the terrains and landscapes and been around the world several times in some of the best studios and working with great producers and engineers. He's a man that they call for a lot of information. So, we're very, very fortunate with gratitude to be here in the room with this kind of knowledge and talent. And
we've been playing together for how many years?
Yeah, a lot of years. I met Donnie when he was 19.
Yeah.
Yeah, in February of 1991, to be specific. And we had a little instrumental group called Red Helmet Discipline. And we played... very, very loud, and
yeah,
we practiced a lot, and we did a lot of working out on our instruments, and it was a project unto itself, and it was a time period and a time frame too, and so it was a good experience, at least for me, and so yeah, you learn things every time you try something new or explore different kinds of music and whatnot. And at that time, we were exploring a lot of instrumental. And by the way, today, how it relates to this little Twang table piece is an instrumental with more of a traditional aspect to it, quality about it. So I'm really glad to have worked with someone like Don and Chris. And we're going to introduce you to Chris Ball, the owner of the studio here, Fun Room Studio. Hi, Chris. Nice to have met you and work with you. This guy can play keyboards and bass, and he's got a great set of ears, and he can pick up stuff really, really quickly. What brought you to music? How'd you get started on the bass?
Bass came a little later.
Okay, what'd you start on?
Piano.
Okay.
I took piano lessons from my neighbor.
Yeah.
That's sort of how I got into it.
Yeah. And had you played in bands as a keyboardist, piano player?
Almost. I went to...
if you can play modestly well and listen to a lot of different styles and dig in, you can probably work relatively steadily, I would think, as a bass player.
Indeed.
Yeah. And Chris has a wonderful series of bass guitars, a nice collection of bass guitars and some other electric six strings accommodating his studio. Lovely vintage amps. Today I was playing through. He's got one of the great Ampeg B15Ns, and lovely. We recorded with the acoustic bass here today, a K bass, and beautiful resonation. And and you've been also, you're a recording engineer. You hire yourself out as an engineer and record people's singer-songwriters and all of that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyhow, just wanted to conclude by saying this was a lovely way to spend a afternoon here in the hot summer. I think it was 93 degrees out there today, but not in here.
Cool.
And here it was spicy pepper and the cool beats. No 93 degrees floating around in this room. And so anyhow, thank you. And it's been a wonderful afternoon working with Don Mcaulay and Chris Ball and our video guy. And he's also an engineer, Mr. Dan Sandberg. So we'll see you on the next episode upcoming. And thank you for tuning in and leaving comments. Don't forget to hit subscribe, as they say in YouTube land. Please hit subscribe. Leave a comment, notifications, thumbs, whatever. Thank you once again, the Twang Table.